let's talk a little bit about Bridget Kelly. So Chris Christie was at the White House yesterday while
Meatloaf's here.
while some of his closest, I guess, confidants and employees, former employees, at in the Christie administration, New Jersey, were getting sentenced for their part in Bridgegate. There were two people who were sentenced yesterday, Bill Baroni and Bridget Anne Kelly. Baroni was the executive director of the Port Authority on the New Jersey side. This is a bi-state agency, so there's a New York and New Jersey, basically co-executive directors, or former or deputy executive directors, I should say. Baroni was the guy who supposedly, David Wildstein, who's yet to be sentenced, told to go ahead with this. Bridget Anne Kelly was a close aide to Chris Christie. I mean, so close that he felt comfortable throwing water bottles at her head. And she is the one who sent an email to Wildstein saying it's time for some traffic problems in Fort Lee. She has 4 children, single mom, which is why I thought that she would be one of the first to flip. The other thing that happened, which I didn't catch 3 weeks ago, was that David Sampson, he was the former chairman of the Port Authority. He was like a big fixer in New Jersey, former attorney general, I think, of New Jersey. He was the chairman of the Port Authority, and you'll recall they busted him because he basically extorted from United Airlines in exchange for giving United Airlines a hub at Newark Airport, which the Port Authority controls. He extorted from them a specific flying route to South Carolina because he has a weekend home there. And the existing route meant that he had to drive for 2 hours to get there, and the new route meant that he could only, he had to drive 15 minutes or something to that effect. And they called it the chairman's flight.
Efficiency.
And he would get on this flight every day, every Friday afternoon, the one flight they had a week, and there was like 4 other people on it, maybe. Now, he's 77, and people thought Sampson might be the guy to flip because he doesn't want to die in prison. But it turns out he got a year of home confinement and paid a fine of $100,000. So nobody flipped.
It's New Jersey.
It's New Jersey. But just imagine the irony here. And Paul Fishman, the Attorney General, who I believe is going to be leaving if he hasn't already left. Not the Attorney General, the U.S. Attorney, said there's a certain irony in the fact that Sampson's motive had been to maximize the amount of time he could spend at his weekend home, and that now he's been sentenced to spend all of his time in that home.
Pretty good. Not bad. Not bad. Almost went to prison for creating a completely nonsensical flight to my vacation home, and punishment, stay there. Pretty good.
And so, all right, so apparently Sampson got away with this really harsh punishment of spending a year in his vacation home.
Not bad.
Well, I mean, to be fair, I bet you the food in South Carolina, the restaurants, how many times can you eat at Sam Sneed's? The judge gave Mr. Sampson a lot of credit for a distinguished career and for his kindness and generosity to others over the years. I wonder.
Did he ever take other people to vacation with him in
Well,
South Carolina?
I wonder how much of that generosity the judge got. I mean, give me a break.
Like, no, specifically, thank you.
You've been very generous. I mean, so I've been told.
I've heard through the grapevine that you do things for people that are appreciated.
I mean,
And with that said, I'd like
Can
to
you
sentence you
imagine-
to 1 year
can you
to your
imagine-
vacation home.
can you imagine the poor luck that this David Sampson got after 76 years of life? He makes one mistake in extorting from an airline a flight with never a history of anything else that was dubious.
He just played it on the straight and narrow besides the chairman's flight to South Carolina.
Exactly.
You know, it's like the notion, like, it's that type of extortion that is the culmination of a career. Like, I love it's like just the idea psychologically that would be a first step.
Are you
Like,
kidding?
the
I'm
first
sure-
steps are like, that's like the Louis
I-
XIV
I have
level,
no
like,
doubt.
new fucking airline.
The
How
guy,
about that?
the guy went on to that every time he went on the plane, and he just walked on and just looked around and goes, "The cherry on top." Just buttonholed this.
Or no, it's like in the movie where it's like when you really get out of control is when you extort United for your own person. Like it's like when that's when it's not even a game anymore.
Right.
It's just who you are. That's
He
like the
went
Jack
whole
Nicholson
career,
monologue.
like walking through, you're like, "Hey, David, is that a new fur coat you're wearing?" Yeah. Meanwhile, Bridget Anne Kelly, like I said, chief aide to Chris Christie, she had this to say upon her appeal. Now, I don't know what she was thinking in terms of why she never turned on Chris Christie. She's got 4 kids. She is. It has been very difficult for her and her family, I would imagine. And this just seems weird since Baroni is going to jail. Wildstein is about to get a sentence. I wonder what she meant by this comment here.
Brief statement.
Good afternoon. Today has been obviously a very difficult day for me and for my children, but I want to assure my kids and everyone else that this fight is far from over. I will not allow myself to be the scapegoat in this case, and I look very much forward to the appeal. So thank you.
The scapegoat? Well, that's a weird turn of phrase, isn't it? Because, I mean, Baroni's going to jail. Wildstein, at the very least, has been has pled guilty. I imagine he's going to get some punishment. I wonder who Bridget Anne Kelly feels like she's being a scapegoat for. Maybe I'm using the word wrong, but isn't that like someone who takes the blame?
Yeah, it would sort of imply that someone else had something to do with what she is only getting punished for.
And escape justice somehow.
Yeah. Like maybe there's someone else who's falling in sports radio studios because they don't know how to sit, as an example, and they were involved in this, but
All
they're
right.
not getting punished.
One is a person who is blamed for the wrongdoings, mistakes, or faults of others, especially for reasons of expediency. I imagine staying out of jail is one of those. Or it could be, she says she's not going to be a goat sent into the wilderness after the Jewish chief priest has symbolically laid the sins of people upon it.
50-50.
Also, Expedient. What's one of the most famous travel sites called? Expedia.
Whoa, look at Matt getting ready for his Alex Jones gig.
I don't
Connecting
know.
the
I'm
dots
not even
right
sure
there.
where that goes. But
It goes to the
here's
Samson's
the
flight
question.
to South Carolina. I got you, Matt.
It's possible she thought that she was not going to get any jail time. I don't know. They've come a long way. 4 years fighting this. She doesn't want to go to jail for 18 months.
Maybe, if unfortunately
I don't know.
for her,
In
I
the
don't
context
think.
of an appeal, I mean, we're going to know. She is saying in an appeal, so I don't know if that means that like now they go to prosecutors and say, "We'll give you this," but I imagine they're not going to be too happy at this
Yeah.
point. And who knows who's in that prosecutor's office anymore? But
She also has not spent a career helping people like David Sampson. So
Yes.
maybe she should have factored that in as well.
that's right.
I could just see Trump on the phone with Christie, like, it looks like you got away with it, Chris. Or maybe, I don't know. Ooh, she seemed pretty angry. They just call him up to fuck with him. It's the only thing that improves the president's mood. He's like scurrying to get him a phone. Like, would you like to call and torture Chris Christie, Mr. President? Okay, all right.
Hey, everybody. Sam Seder here.
Donald Trump is a bad guy. Believe me. It's true.
It is true. And you can subscribe to this channel by subscribing to this channel. It's true.